Hello and welcome everybody to the very first PokéPlay video. Now, this might seem kind of unexpected, seeing as I announced it today, but I'm going to be gone for the next 4 or so days at PAX, so I figured I'd get a video up right now. And what I'd really like to do is display the new Pokemon Trading Card Game online program. It's really great. It's a new downloadable client. It lets you play against your friends, which wasn't available in the first one. And it just runs so much faster and is so much smoother. And while it does have a few bugs, I am happy to say that those have all been fixed, or at least a majority of them have been fixed today. And so I'm just really excited to show you guys the program and what it's all about. So I'm playing a friendly match against Renee. I'm playing Garchomp Altaria, and she's playing an Eelektrik variant. And my goal is basically just to get a bunch of Garchomps and Altaria out, hit for high damage for low energy. Her goal is to energy accelerate onto all kinds of Pokemon with Eelektrik. So I start with the new Emolga from Dragons Exalted, and Emolga lets you, for 1 energy, just search out 2 basics. It seems simple, but it's pretty good in a format without Pokemon Collector. And the other nice thing is it has free retreat, so even if you don't have an energy, you can get them out of that spot pretty easily. So I already had the 2 Gibble, decided to grab 2 Swablu, and I'm pretty set. I have the level balls in hand, and 1 level ball gets me a Gabite, and Gabite's power, Dragon Claw, lets you search back in your deck for more Dragon Pokemon. So I could have a full field of attackers, pretty much, by turn 2 if this hand stands as is. So she starts with a random receiver, benches another Eel, plays Pokemon Catcher to pull up my Swablu. And while this program is PC only, they have an official Mac one coming out soon. I'm actually running an unofficial Mac client made from the PC one using Wine. I'm going to link you guys to the download link to get that in the description below. I got it from a link on PokeGym from something like Pokemon Italy. I can't remember exactly what the name is, but the program has been great. Only a slight lag compared to the PC one, and so far things have been pretty good. Obviously, I'd rather own a PC right now just because they have better screen capture equipment and such, but for now on the Mac, with the resources that I have, things looked alright, and it's at least enough to show you guys how the program works and how good it will be, or even just a taste of it when it will be on Mac. So she starts with Spark, does 10 damage, 20 because Swablu's lightning weak, and 10 to the bench. So Swablu could get knocked out later. And it also kind of stinks to have Swablu catch it up, because I would like to attach to the Gibble on the bench and attack with a Garchomp this turn. So unless I hit one of my switches, I'm set 1 turn back. So with that level ball, I do go ahead and grab Gabite and evolve. And Gabite's ability, Dragon Call, it's really great because it just lets you go back and grab more Dragon Pokemon. If I didn't have the Rare Candy, I would just grab another Gabite and continue to search, but Rare Candy lets me skip that middle stage and just go straight to Garchomp. So I've got a Gabite, a Garchomp, the energy. With Level Ball, I can grab another Altaria. I decided for the sake of it, just to evolve the bench one. Active one looks like it's about to be knocked out. And I want to attach and go ahead for the switch. Slightly riskier play, but definitely worth it if it goes off. And I'm thinking, I decided to catch up Raikou. She doesn't really have any energy in play. She can't attach to it on the bench with Dynamotor if she gets the Eelektriks out, because it only attaches to the bench. So I pull up Raikou, 2 attacks with Garchomp as a knockout, and the gamble pays off. I do hit the switch, so it's Garchomp up right away, and I'm applying a ton of pressure. It's like I'm telling her inside the chat, I've got a pretty good hand. This is an exemplary way to show how Garchomp Altaria does work when it does work. And unfortunately, Renee doesn't have the best setup herself. She does get the turn 2 Eelektrik, which is good, but the problem is with Raikou in the active spot, she needs a new attacker to attach to on the bench. Otherwise, she's just attaching lightning energies to Eelektrik. So we've got another Pokemon catcher, bringing up the Swablu. So if anything, probably take a go-ahead prize. If her hand's not that good, then it definitely at least gives her a way to search into something else. But at the moment, I've got pretty great board position. I have my 140 HP Garchomp that's hitting for 80 damage a turn. She's got the switch to move out of the way, and an N to get a new hand, but really looking good for me. So N, both shuffle our hands back in, draw how many cards we have for our prizes, and she says, wow, nothing. So either lack of energy, no new basics to attach to with the Eelektrik, but it's just a mess. So she plays her Sky Arrow Bridge, which is nice, gives all of her basic 1 retreat cost Pokemon 1 less retreat cost. And it doesn't really benefit me that much because most of my Pokemon are evolved, and Sky Arrow Bridge only affects basic Pokemon. So she gets the energy on Raikou, and at this point, she's either got a knockout with the Tynamo active or the Raikou. It's a tough decision to make. She puts up the Raikou, I take 2 prizes on my turn, but if she keeps the Tynamo up, then that's just a free prize for me, putting her one way out of Eelektriks. So she decides to go for the Raikou. I put up a Mulligan because it has free retreat, and she takes the first prize. So at this point, again, still a really great spot. I can knock out Raikou, especially with Dragon Blade, which does 100 damage now. Discard the top 2 cards off my deck. I Dragon Call. Now, normally I'd like to have the extra Swablus to get extra Altarias. Unfortunately, Swablu is the only kind of fundamental card of the deck that isn't a Dragon type, so I just decided to go straight for the Garchomp and evolve off the bench. At this point, I've got Bianca and Juniper. Kind of lame because Juniper would discard some helpful energy and an evolution. Bianca, I'm only drawing 1 card, so not great. I definitely like Charon better in this deck, but I also like running more than a really low count of supporters, so I try and run, I run 4 Juniper, 4 Charon, 4 N, and 2 Bianca right now, I think. So I go ahead, grab my 2 prizes. The Gibble's definitely good, although I do already have the 2 Garchomp out, but no Swablu again. She says, this is unbelievable. So again, not a good spot for her. She has energy in the discard pile. Level Ball could get her another Eelektrik, but without one of her attacking Pokemon on the bench, it's going to be a long road for her. Now the deck can run all kinds of different attackers. It can run Tornadus EX, Raikou EX, Zekrom EX, the regular black and white Zekrom, even Rayquaza EX with fire energy also. So you have a ton of options, but if you can't hit any of your attackers, then you're really put in a pretty bad spot. So she plays N, I draw 4 cards, she gets 5. Alright, so she does have the black and white Zekrom, and I'm looking at that. She has the Dynamotor, but she's going to need a couple of things. She would need an energy in hand, a switch, and another Eelektrik in order to get the Zekrom out. So would definitely be pretty tough. She decides to go ahead and grab Mewtwo. And at this point, it's going to be a pretty long road. She's got energy in the discard, 1 eel, a few attackers now, but unless that's Juniper in her hand, really low resources. And at this point, I've got the Garchomp set up. I have a catcher, so I can knock out her benched Eelektrik. But at this point, with no other options, she decides to evolve to the active to get another energy, and I already have the next prize set up for myself. So I go ahead and play Charon right away. If that's your only supporter, it's always smartest to draw the cards first, unless you're trying to hit something really important. But in this case, I'm just trying to look for more. And I check my deck, no Swablu. So having that first one knocked out wasn't too great. Working with the one Altaria isn't exactly ideal, so now I'm actually kind of wishing I had paid a little bit more attention and played the Super Rod first. But because I didn't, go ahead and play Super Rod now, get those Swablus back in the deck. Swablu isn't great. It gets knocked out just for one double colorless on either a Mewtwo or a Zekrom or Lightning Energy on the shiny Rayquaza, but you just need it to do the extra 20 damage that stacks with Altaria. So I go ahead, check her discard pile, switches, catchers, and I go ahead and Dragon Blade for 120. The one energy attack, because I only have the one Swablu, would only do 80, so I'm forced to do that. Milled 2 cards from my deck. I go ahead and check my discard. Juniper and Garchomp gone. Not too deadly. I've already got 2 Garchomp out. Don't necessarily need Juniper right now. I'd rather save the catcher. And again, she's in a rough spot. Attach from hand, Dynamotor, no supporter, no hand. I've got 3 prizes. She's got 1, and all she has is an attack right now. So this is kind of a tough question. Do you Bolt Strike for 120, putting me at 20 away from knockout, or Outrage, preventing me from knocking her out on the next turn? So she decides to play it safe, go Outrage. I've got the Gabite. I have 2 Garchomps now with multiple energy. And I decide to retreat the one to the other, forcing her to have Catcher for a knockout. And I knock out her Eelektrik on the bench. Bianca for 4. So there it's a little bit more useful than the one I had earlier. But it's really going to be a tough road. I think about benching the Gibble, but I really would like to save that spot for Swablu if I can find it. Dragon Call, just because I realize I have no supporter in my hand, so I might as well thin the deck now. I think all I can grab is Altaria, so go ahead and grab it. And again, another Dragon Blade. So I've got to discard 2 more off the top of my deck, but I take my 4th prize. She's completely out of Electrics. I still have another catcher if she decides to bench a basic. Grab a Gabite, not that useful, but on this point, things can probably turn a little bit. N only gives me 2 cards, gives her 5. She had no hand for a long time, and this at least gives her a fighting chance. Attached to Mewtwo. And again, I still got Charon, so I'm not in a terrible spot. Zekrom again, left to that same question. Does she want to do the 120, give me an easy prize, or just do the 20, putting him in knockout range? At this point, probably just going to do the 20. So she Ultra Balls. And this is one bug in the system right now. You don't get to see what they get off the Ultra Ball. Although I can see that she just benched Zekrom, so probably got that. But from what I've heard, most of the major bugs that I experienced, this was just yesterday when I recorded this, have already been fixed. So huge props to the new team running this game. They're clearly much more serious than the last one was. And it's just nice to see these things fixed so soon. So I Dragon Call again. Just grabbing a junk Pokemon because I just want to thin the deck. Still no basic Swablu. But I've got 3 Garchomp out. Pretty good spot. So at this point, I decide to go ahead and Mach Cut. I could do more damage with Dragon Blade, but I put her in a spot where she can just knock me out with her Outrage attack. Or with all that extra damage, she could... I'm trying to think. I think she could knock out a fresh one on the bench. No, she would be damage short. But I just like playing it safe anyways because I don't have to mill my own deck this way. So her N got her pretty far, but she's still at a 2-card hand now, low on resources. Probably won't see another Eelektrik for the game, which was the entire heart of the deck. But another N puts me at 2 cards. I get the Swablu finally, but at this point I have no resources and just 1 energy. So here, her Zekrom can finally take a prize off the Bolt Strike. But then her Zekrom's probably going to fall pretty quickly. So here she attaches but to the benched Zekrom, which, I don't know, I can see it as a good play one way or another. Maybe that's her only energy and she doesn't want to catch it up on the bench to have to retreat her Zekrom, but at this point, one of the big things that you can do to frustrate your opponent is, after they've taken their 5th prize, if you promote an EX and force them to take 2 more prizes on their EX, you're basically putting your opponent into a 7-prize game rather than a 6 one. So at this point, I'm trying to either just kill Mewtwo or kill 2 Zekroms. I draw another Swablu, which is great. I've been looking for him all game, and now I have no supporter to work with him. So I just attach around, spread the love, and at this point, I make a decision based on the bug of the game. I wanted to spread the energy around, but Garchomp at this point has a bug where it discards special energy off of your opponent's benched Pokemon, and it forces you to make the discard. So I decided to even the game out a little bit, and not to stunt her comeback, I go for the Dragon Blade. So from what I've heard, this bug's already been fixed, and it's just been 1 day since I made this video, which is great. Not great for me, though, is that I discard 2 blend energy, which is just good to have energy, and I think that's my last blend, which means once this active Garchomp is gone, that is going to be the end of my Dragon Blade shenanigans. So she plays Cheren. Now she has a big hand, and that's great. Another Zekrom down. And the active Mewtwo is hoping to sweep for 4 prizes, stopping me before I can grab 1. So checking decks, both of us are getting a little bit low. And got Tornadus EX on the bench. Actually isn't bad, because for 1 double colorless, deals 60 damage with a Stadium in play, which could knock out my bench Swablus or the Altaria with the 10 damage on it. So at this point, it's a game of her getting the energy she needs and the catchers. And there's a double colorless, so I guess the one on the bench wasn't really too big of a waste, because her Mewtwo has just enough energy to X-Ball huge and knock me out. So there's the 120, and another Garchomp down. So again, always put a Bemolga up to be safe, and draw. And not amazing for me, but it at least cuts her hand size down in half. So I decided to go for that. I draw 1 card off it, but she only gets 3. And I decided to call for family. It's tough. I'm not sure if I want to put down the basic, give her more easy prizes, but I already have so many easy prizes on the bench that I just decided, you know what, I'll put down Gibble, some kind of Mayday situation. If she catches up Garchomp and I can't move it, would at least be nice to get another Garchomp out so I don't instantly lose. So at this point, it's tough. She's got a big Mewtwo that can continue to get bigger with more energy attachments, and unless I hit an energy, I'm out of this game all of a sudden. So there's a catcher, and like I said, pull up the Garchomp, and that can be pretty bad. Random receiver, so she's got another supporter. And even though it's Juniper and her deck is pretty thin, that can give her a lot of resources. So go ahead, X-Ball for only 80, and I get a monster top deck. The Bianca's huge. I had nothing otherwise. No energy, no switch. Probably would have just instantly lost without that. So go ahead and Dragon Call just to count what's left in the deck. I'm looking, fighting energy. Ugh, there's 2. 1 catcher. Grab Altaria, might as well deal more damage. The Bianca for a full 6 cards is huge. So I'm looking, there's another Altaria, so all of a sudden I've had 1 almost the whole game, and now all of a sudden I've got 3. And I Super Rod. Try and put some lines back in. And I think I make fairly big mistake here. Just that, like, I'm like, oh, well, I want the Garchomp back, maybe a Gibble, and I should grab an energy here, one of those fighting energy. But for some reason, I grab another Garchomp. I guess at that point, I didn't realize that I only had 2 left in the deck. So at this point, I attach, and here's my other misplay. I should, even though I do have to play the 7 prize game, attacking her Mewtwo probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I probably 2-shot it, but I think to myself, well, her bench Zekrom is going to be completely worthless without its energy. I deal 120, but really not that great of a play. Should have stunted the Mewtwo, or at least tried to, because now, if she has a switch, which she just plays right there, I pretty much play myself into a really bad spot. So yeah, I didn't want to play the 7 prize game, but here it actually probably would have been a better idea. Didn't check her discard pile to see how many switch she had left. And even if she didn't have one in her hand, I knew she had the Juniper. But again, just goes to show you, you can be losing a game pretty badly, and all of a sudden, after getting some good top decks and your opponent making some misplays, you can turn things around. So there's another big X-Ball, and Garchomp falls. So at this point, I'm in pretty big trouble. An energy here would have been huge. I could have still changed my game and gone for the prize game on Mewtwo, but because I didn't hit one, I'm still in trouble. Again, Dragon Call. So even if I did hit her Mewtwo once here, definitely couldn't have won the game on my turn yet. Just got a Dragon Call, get the Garchomp, and hope for the best. I already have enough chump prizes to last her through the rest of the game, so at this point, probably just want to call for family and grab another basic. And it looks like Renee gets her achievement, a 50th knockout. But yeah, as I say, I'm in trouble. So I go for the call for family. Just get another basic down, just to thin the deck. Give me a better chance to grab that last energy. And like I was saying, she says, I can't believe it. And I can barely believe it either. I was winning so badly. She had no Eelektrik, pretty much nothing else to work with, but made a couple of small errors, and all of a sudden I'm completely out of this game. Big Mewtwo, even if you don't accelerate to it, is still just as deadly as it was in the last format. Like I said, the Mewtwo is too big. And with the Eviolite attached, every attack's going to do 20 damage less. It's going to be a pretty tough cookie to crumble. So at this point, it's just a waiting game. Can I get an energy? And maybe she doesn't have a catcher to grab that last prize. She can't one-shot Garchomp with the energy she has unless she gets more, but I put him up and hope for the best. Energy. So definitely good that I did that Dragon Call to thin the deck a little, grab my last energy, and I at least put myself in a position to win the game. Mock Cut goes ahead, hits her for 100, so I can knock her out next turn, and she loses the double. So at this point, the question is, does she have catcher? If she does, she wins. If she doesn't, she has to retreat her Mewtwo and bide some time. So, check her discard and I count the catchers. 1, 2, 3. So, check her deck size. Her hand is already huge. She attaches 5 cards left in the deck. So, I feel like if she had the catcher, she probably just would have played it right away. So, it's either her last prize or within those last 5 cards of her deck. Goes ahead and plays Charon, draws 3. So, did she hit it? Is it in the prizes? And she gets it. So, I say GG, and that's the game. So, Mewtwo alone turned around those last 4 prizes with repeated X-Balls, and I played myself out of this one. So again, just goes to show you, you can still have an exciting or close game with a couple of ends, dropping your opponent's hand down, and just making correct moves while your opponent makes a few misplays. But, like I was saying, this program is really great. It runs so much more smoothly than the Flash version, and it's just definitely a fun way to play if you like the card game at all. So just looking at some stats, 860 damage to 750. Both of our biggest attacks are the same. MVP, Garchomp, and Mewtwo. But anyways, thank you very much for watching this first episode of PokéPlay. I'm hoping to have my regular stuff with Coliseum up sometime next week. And I'm hoping to have the Pokemon trading card game online videos up once a week. I play this game all the time, and so there's no reason for me not to just record a few matches. But if you're interested at all in the program, be sure to check it out. I've posted both the link to the regular download in the comments or in the discussion section below, as well as a link to get that Mac version that I'm using right now. As always, thank you very much for watching my videos, and I'll catch you guys sometime next week. Peace!